In the summer of 371 BC, the Greek world teetered on the brink of a decisive clash. The recently established democracy of Thebes, having elected 4 boeotarchs, the traditional generals of the Boeotian League, boldly announced their intention to revive the league that Sparta had once dismantled. This defiance followed closely on the heels of a stunning blow to Spartan invincibility delivered by Theban general Pelopidas at the Battle of Tegea in 375 BC. Though the victory was modest, it signaled a significant shift in regional power dynamics. Under the leadership of Theban visionaries, the Boeotian League grew stronger, slowly tipping the scales in favor of Thebes. Spartan military expeditions struggled to stem this rising tide. Meanwhile, Thebes' burgeoning power raised alarm in Athens, which had backed Thebes against Sparta since the Corinthian War 15 years earlier. Yet, Theban actions, including the destruction of the pro-Spartan town of Thespeae and the capture of Plataea in 373 BC, strained their alliance with Athens, a staunch ally of Plataea. In early 371 BC, a peace conference convened in Sparta sought to quell the prolonged conflict. Delegates from Athens, Sparta, Thebes, and other Greek states, including Macedonia and Persia, attended. Although a treaty was agreed upon, it quickly unraveled. Theban delegate Epaminondas insisted on signing for the entire Boeotian League, a demand rejected by Spartan king Agesilaus. This led to Thebes being struck from the treaty, setting the stage for war. Epaminondas raced back to Boeotia to marshal defenses, aware that Spartan king Cleombrotus I was already advancing. The Spartans, seeking to reassert their dominance in central Greece, took an unexpected route through the hills, capturing the fortress of Crusis and seizing Theban warships. They then marched inland to Leuctra, just 10 miles from Thebes. There, the Thebans faced a fateful decision: confront the Spartans on the plain or retreat behind their city walls. The decision was fraught with peril. The Thebans could muster only around 6,000 hoplites and 1,000 riders. In contrast, Cleombrotus commanded 10,000 hoplites, bolstered by a formidable cavalry. The Spartans' fearsome reputation, having never lost a major hoplite battle, loomed large. Amid high tensions, the boeotarchs deliberated their options. Initially inclined to defend the city, they were ultimately swayed by Epaminondas and Pelopidas, the victor at Tegea. They resolved to take the risk, march to Leuctra, and confront the Spartan threat head-on. On the 6th of July, 371 BC, under the scorching Greek sun, the Theban army arrived on the plain near Leuctra, ready to face the formidable Spartans. King Cleombrotus of Sparta deployed his forces in their customary formation, a solid line with elite Spartiates anchoring the powerful right wing, supported by regular allies. Unusually inexperienced Spartan cavalry took the precarious front position, perhaps a sign of overconfidence in their famed infantry's prowess. Epaminondas, the brilliant tactician leading the Theban forces, assessed the daunting challenge ahead. While conventional wisdom dictated mirroring the Spartan lineup, Epaminondas opted for audacious innovation. He placed the sacred band, revered for their skill and valor under Pelopidas, on the left flank opposite the Spartans' finest. This strategic gamble was complemented by an unusually deep formation on the Theban left, aimed at overwhelming the Spartan elite and disrupting their formation. However, this left the remainder of the Theban line, comprising Boeotian allies, perilously thin and vulnerable. As the morning haze lifted, the clash began with a skirmish of cavalry, where Theban horsemen, superior in experience and numbers, routed the Spartan riders. The retreating Spartans inadvertently disrupted their own infantry's formation, creating a temporary chaos. Meanwhile, the Theban infantry advanced in echelon formation, with the left surging forward while the rest held back to delay the inevitable clash. Cleombrotus, realizing the mismatched alignment of the Theban forces, urgently barked orders to reorganize. But before his orders could restore order, the Theban left flank crashed into the Spartan right with thunderous force.
Understood. That's me.
Amidst the cacophony of clashing weapons and the agonizing cries of the fallen, the Thebans gained local superiority. The sacred band, under Pelopidas's inspired leadership, dealt a fatal blow to the Spartan right, causing it to crumble and retreat in disarray. Many Spartan leaders fell in the melee, including King Cleombrotus himself, mortally wounded in the chaos of battle. With the Spartan right collapsed, the Theban center and right advanced, emboldened by their initial success. Epaminondas and Pelopidas prepared to flank the remaining Spartan forces. The tide of battle turned decisively against the Spartans. Tactical disarray and the loss of key commanders forced the remnants of the Spartan army to retreat hastily to their camp. The cost was staggering. Over 1,000 Spartan warriors perished, among them 400 Spartiates and their king. In contrast, Theban losses were relatively light, with around 120 brave soldiers falling in the heat of battle. The Battle of Leuctra marked a monumental victory for Thebes, shattering the myth of Spartan invincibility and establishing Epaminondas as a masterful military strategist in ancient Greece. In the summer of 370 BC, following Thebes' stunning victory at Leuctra, which ended Spartan hegemony, Theban general Epaminondas aimed to solidify his city-state's newfound dominance. He led a campaign into the Peloponnese, establishing the Arcadian League and founding the city of Megalopolis as a counterbalance to Sparta. Thebes also inflicted severe damage on Sparta by liberating Messenia, a region that had long supported Spartan military power. While Epaminondas focused on the south, his ally Pelopidas worked to extend Theban influence in the north. Despite some setbacks, including a notable defeat of Pelopidas and his death while suppressing a revolt in Thessaly, his efforts included securing hostages, among them the young Philip of Macedon, who came to admire Theban governance. As years passed, Thebes struggled to maintain its dominance amid rising opposition. The Mantinean city-state, once a member of the Arcadian League, revolted and began rallying support from Achaea, Elis, Sparta, and even Athens. The Mantinean revolt posed the most significant threat to Theban hegemony since its establishment. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Epaminondas mobilized a substantial army to address the revolt and reaffirm Theban control. The impending clash promised to be a decisive confrontation in the ongoing struggle for Greek supremacy. The two armies that faced each other at the Battle of Mantinea were a reflection of Greece's divided power structure. On one side stood the Theban-led coalition commanded by the brilliant Epaminondas. The Boeotian League, numbering approximately 30,000 soldiers, was reinforced by contingents from Euboea, Argos, Messenia, and Thessaly. This diverse alliance allowed Epaminondas to field a well-rounded army, including a corps of heavily armed hoplites and skilled Thessalian cavalry. Opposing them was a coalition of city-states, numbering around 20,000 troops, including soldiers from Sparta, Mantinea, Elis, and Athens. Though smaller than in previous years, the Spartan contingent was still formidable, consisting of the disciplined hoplite corps that had made Sparta legendary. The Athenians, known for their skilled hoplites and cavalry, added both numbers and expertise to the Allied forces. The Allied forces scrambled to form their defensive lines, their 20,000 soldiers positioning themselves between the hills. The Theban army, 30,000 strong, stood in silence, awaiting their commander's orders. Epaminondas, ever the tactician, understood the value of misdirection. He ordered his troops to march westward toward the hills, signaling an apparent retreat. The aim was simple: to lull the enemy into lowering their guard. As the Thebans moved away, the Mantineans and their allies relaxed, some even putting down their weapons. It was a dangerous moment, but Epaminondas knew it was his only chance to break the enemy's resolve. As the enemy lowered their guard, Epaminondas seized the opportunity. With the sharp command of a master strategist, he pivoted his forces back into position. His left flank, heavily reinforced, advanced with a force and purpose that had become his trademark. This was the same tactic he had used at Leuctra, and it was now being unleashed once more. The impact was devastating. The left wing of the Theban army charged the Mantinean right flank with all the force of a battering ram. The Mantineans, already unprepared, buckled under the pressure. Shields splintered, spears shattered, and the Mantinean line began to crumble. Unable to withstand the crushing pressure, they were forced to retreat. The battle shifted quickly from a tense standoff to a full-scale rout. Meanwhile, the Allied left, comprising the Spartans, Athenians, and Eleans, remained hesitant. Despite their advantageous position, they were paralyzed by the shock of the initial onslaught. The opportunity to press forward against the weaker Boeotian center was lost, and the result was a one-sided affair, with the Mantinean right wing breaking apart under the relentless force of the Theban assault. To the east, Theban and Athenian cavalry clashed in brief, violent skirmishes, but it was the main offensive on the left that dictated the battle's outcome. As the enemy scattered in retreat, victory seemed inevitable for the Thebans. But in the heat of pursuit, fate dealt a cruel blow. Leading his men in the chase, Epaminondas was struck by a spear. The blow was fatal, and the general fell to the ground, his life slipping away as the battlefield shifted beneath him. His death was a crushing blow to Thebes, both in terms of leadership and morale. Epaminondas, the brilliant architect of Theban supremacy, was gone. His army, though victorious, now faced the loss of their greatest leader at the height of their triumph. His final breath marked the beginning of a painful and uncertain future for Thebes. With the death of Epaminondas, Thebes lost the one man who could hold the fractured coalition together and steer the city-state toward continued greatness. The victory, bitter in its own right, seemed hollow as Theban soldiers realized that their general was gone. In the immediate aftermath, Thebes' position in Greece was weakened. While the death of Epaminondas did not lead to a direct transfer of power to any other city-state, it opened the door for a new era of fragmentation and uncertainty. Sparta was still reeling from its losses and could not immediately reclaim its former power. Athens, though influential, lacked the strength to impose its dominance over Greece. Mantinea, though victorious, found itself struggling to maintain the cohesion of its coalition. At the same time, the broader geopolitical ramifications of the battle extended beyond Greece's borders. While Greece's major powers lay fragmented and weary, the Persian Empire under King Artaxerxes looked on with quiet satisfaction. The continued disunity among the Greek city-states allowed Persia to maintain its influence over the region, keeping the Greek world divided and weakened. But even as Greece faltered, a new force was quietly rising in the north. The young Philip of Macedon, once a hostage in Thebes, had watched the rise and fall of Theban power. With the death of his brothers, he ascended to the throne of Macedon, bringing with him a new vision, one that would ultimately reshape the entire Greek world. In the years that followed, Philip would use the lessons learned from the failure of the Greek city-states to forge an empire that would stretch across the known world. The Battle of Mantinea may have been a victory for Thebes, but its true impact was far more profound. It signaled the end of one era and the dawn of another, as the Greek world, fractured and divided, looked toward a new power rising on the horizon.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative historical cinematic battles. Make sure to subscribe and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.